What's up, y'all? I am so excited about all the love you guys have been giving me on this body series. There have been so many questions, so many people inquiring about different things. So I wanted to address a couple of those things. We wrote them down, just a few of the questions. Somebody asked, how is my areola? Well, my areola is fine. Everything has healed properly. I mean, I guess internally it's probably still healing, but on the outside, it's just fine. You know, I have feeling in them. I did not have any issues with that. I know some women say that after a breast reduction, they lose their sensitivity. That is not the case for me. Praise the Lord, they're still working. They're still working. Anyway, and they are smaller than what they were, but they did stretch out just a little bit. So they're not as small as they were when he first did the surgery, but they're definitely ain't as big as they used to be. Okay, another question was, what is the tape for on your scar and how is it healing? All right, this is something that I was thinking about putting on my Amazon shop. It is silicone tape. Silicone tape or silicone gel is something that I continuously put on my scars after because it's supposed to help with the healing process and stop the scars from being so thick or so dark. It's over time. It doesn't do it immediately, but over time it's supposed to help flatten out your scars or, you know, soften them or whatever. I know a lot of, especially black people, we have issues with like hyperpigmentation or what they call it, hypertrophic scarring. And that's when scars get thick or darker or just not where they don't really blend in with the rest of our skin. They kind of like stand out and sometimes they rise up above the skin. I'm not even talking about keloids because keloids, you know, they get really big sometimes, but I'm talking about just when your scar gets a little bit thicker than normal and it's darker than normal. They call that hypertrophic scarring or something like that. Anyway, the silicone tape helps with that. You can get it on Amazon or, you know, anywhere they sell that. Yeah, so I consistently put it on my scar, you know, pretty much put it on there every day unless I think it's about to go down that night. Then I'll take my tape off. Okay, it's just, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but it does help. I do have another series in mind, and it's like a money-making series. So if you guys have any ideas of things that you would like to see in this series, please chime in below. I think it would be kind of cool to tackle another series. This one, it really helped a lot of people, and I am so glad that we did it. I'm appreciative of everyone who shared the videos, watched it all the way through. Thank you for showing your interest in the videos because we really didn't know if you guys would be receptive or not. It seemed like, you know, it did exactly what we wanted it to do, and that was to be informative and help a lot of people who needed more information about body work. So because that one was so successful, we want to do another series, and this time we really would love for it to be all about finances. And get into the bread, get into the money, moolah, whatever you want to call it. The next episode of the series is about my girl, Esther. Esther has been with our Candy Coated team for years now. She's been working with me for a very long time. She used to work on the production of Candy Coated Nights, and now she works here at the Candy Factory in the office. On a day-to-day, she's obviously dealt with weight issues for a very long time throughout her life, and we're gonna tackle that. And she herself has been thinking about doing something to help her with her weight loss. It's another topic of discussion on our Bodywork series, so make sure you tune in because this one is an emotional one. What's up, y'all? I am your girl Candy, and I got my girl Esther here, and we are about to speak on it. Esther, we've known each other for how long?
About 10 years.
10 years? It's been a long time. We started out being cool because you worked on production with Candy Coated Nights.
Yep.
For a long time, when we were doing Candy Coated Nights, Esther was a part of the production team that helped us produce the show, and we was just doing it online. So she was behind the scenes. And then when we needed somebody else to be a part of the team here at Candy Coated Entertainment, working in the office, we reached out to Esther to see if she, would want to be a part of the team. So that has been how long ago?
2 years.
Hell, been 2 years? Well, I feel like it's been longer than that.
It was 2018. I was just leaving. I just finished an assignment at Anthem.
So, with that being said, over the years, we've definitely gotten really, really cool. And we also have some very private conversations sometimes. And we've definitely had a conversation about weight. So, this month, well, I don't know, it's not necessarily this month, but we decided to do a series about just body surgeries, different things that people go through when they decide to do anything to themselves physically, and talk about the steps to take and if we have any suggestions or how it may affect us and different things. So since this is a conversation that so many people deal with constantly, weight is always being talked about. Let's just talk about your background. How long have you felt like your weight has been an issue?
I always say this. So when I was like in 4th or 5th grade, I started, I was kind of heavy. And then over the years, of course, I got larger and larger. When I was younger, it bothered me a little bit, but it didn't bother me as much as it does now.
Why?
One, my health, and two, just sometimes when I look at myself, I don't like what I see.
Okay.
So those are the two main things, because I want to be here longer.
Right.
One thing I've had a lot of realities, but last week I had went to the colonoscopy doctor, to the colonologist I talked with him first about, kind of get some updates on what's going on with me and everything, and a consultation. And so she told me, she said the last time you came was about 9 years ago. And she said, last time I did it, we did it at the clinic. But this time I got to do it at the hospital.
Wow.
Because my BMI is high. And she said, we put you to sleep. And anytime we put you to sleep, there's a chance of your breathing stopping. So I was like, man, she was like, your BMI is extremely high. She said, has anybody ever talked with you about the surgery? And I said, yeah, they have. I said, but, I'm still on the fence about it, because a lot of times I think about the side effects of it in the long-term life, that you may, the effects of it.
So which surgery are we talking about?
The sleeve.
Okay.
If I chose anyone, it would be the sleeve.
There are multiple different things that people can do, obviously, when they are dealing with any type of weight issue. But there are two surgeries that have been talked about a lot publicly, because so many different celebrities and different people have decided to do it.
Sources are claiming that Mariah reportedly underwent gastric sleeve weight loss surgery.
So the surgery that I chose to have was the laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy. They removed anywhere between 70 to 80% of your stomach.
Had surgery. I don't give a what anyone says. I did it. I'm proud of it. They can suck.
You got your name. The name of the surgery you got was what?
The gastric sleeve.
So it has been 13 hours since my procedure, and honestly, keeping in mind that everybody's experience is exclusive to them, in my experience, this has been very non-eventful. And what I mean is I haven't had any issues.
For Jordan Woods, getting fit wasn't something that happened overnight. Jennifer Hudson, she went from a size 16 to a 6 in just a few short years. Jonah Hill. Fans were floored when Jonah Hill posted a photo on Instagram looking slimmer than usual.
I'm very uncomfortable about talking about another person's weight, because it goes beyond fat shaming. We don't know what somebody is going through.
Do you know the differences between the two, or can we explain the differences between the two? Which is the gastric sleeve and
the lap band.
And the other one, which is the lap band.
The bariatric, that's where they do the rerouting.
Oh. Okay.
And then the band is where they put this band thing around your stomach to make it smaller.
I thought that's what the sleeve was. So that's the lap band.
And then the sleeve, I was watching some videos. The way they do it, they go in and I think they were like, they staple down where how they want your stomach. So your stomach is this big. They go in and they kind of staple it and make it like a little smaller so that you can't consume a lot of food. I mean, there are pros and cons for all of them.
For the first pro, which is my absolute favorite one, is that I eat less. A con. So in the beginning of anybody's weight loss surgery journey, you are adjusting. It's the most difficult time because your body is catching up. Your mind is catching up to your body. You're rapidly losing weight because your stomach is smaller. You're consuming less food. But mentally, you're not there yet.
So what made you want to consider the sleeve?
It's not as bad to me as the bariatric. And then the things with the lap band, I have a cousin that had the lap band.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and last year, she lost about 200 pounds, but she said last year, one of the complications with it is that it can get stuck in your chest cavity.
Really?
So she had a lot of heartburn and she was really sick. But she said a lot of her being sick was because the mental part of wanting to eat, but she couldn't because her stomach won't allow her to. That's my biggest thing with the surgery is basically like it starts here and I know that. And I feel like once I get this together, then I could lose the weight. I've talked to therapists, I've talked to a head trainer, and they all said the same thing. It's like, Esther, it's deeper than the food.
This fitness problem is more about our mental failures than our physical failures.
There's something that you need to release.
It's more about your head and your attitude than it is about your body.
And once you release that, then you will be able to release the weight.
He said, you just can't decide to exercise and have it sustain you for the rest of your life. So your brain's going to fight you.
So this is, the therapist was you basically working on your mental. And that's what you said that you felt like you needed to help you get in where you needed to be mentally to lose the weight. So how many times did you sit with a therapist and did you think that helped any?
It helped, but another thing that I struggle with is consistency.
But if you can win the mental battle for 5 consecutive years, you will never go back to your previously sedentary lifestyle.
And yeah, that's one of the things, is consistency. And so it's not continuously going like I should. And so that's where I feel like I fall off as well. I just decided I was going to start taking my clock on my phone and setting an alarm and just saying every day to remind myself to go attend an Overeaters Anonymous video. It's free. You could do it in person or on the phone, or you can do it online. So every now and then I do a Zoom call, but I just need to be more consistent with it, and I'm working on being more consistent.
So is this like group therapy, or is this?
It's not really therapy, it's just like support groups.
Okay,
everybody has went through it, has eating addiction. And they use this book called The Big Book. And the Big Book was originally used for AA, but they found that addiction is addiction. And they're kind of faith-based, some of them. They use God as a way of strength. And so that's, I love God, so that's also why I like the group. Some of the things that trigger me is when I talk about my childhood sometimes. And then sometimes when I do talk about my weight, it triggers me because those are soft spots for me. As a kid, I had a lot of responsibilities. I'm the oldest of all the grandkids. I took care of my sisters, my brothers. I was in at the time my mom and I were on drugs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so it was all of us in one house. It was my grandmother, my mother, my aunt, both my uncles, basically all her kids and their kids, except my uncle's kids, lived in one house. And this was like over years. And so the times that they were gone, it was just me as being the oldest was like, I had to step in and do it. Nobody asked me. I just felt like it was my responsibility. And so I did that and even carried that into my adult life. And so when I moved here, I was like, you know what? I do have to start paying attention more to myself. Even after I moved here, it was like people calling, can you help me with this? Can you do this? And I was doing it, And then I was like, you know what? It was a lot. And so I kind of started backing away, and I kind of find myself doing it now sometimes, but not as much.
So, but you have children yourself. How many kids you have?
3.
You have 3 kids. So do you think that that played a part in your weight gain as well, or?
No, I don't think so. Another thing that I see that I've done, I say I can't blame myself, but sometimes I do, is because my kids are overweight. And so it's like kids are the product of their environment, so it's like I didn't really give them structure or whatever, on eating. And so they follow my eating patterns.
So you don't think that any part of it could just be hereditary? Because like sometimes physically, some people carry the same body structure as, a parent or whatever. Do you think, are there other people in your family that, deal with weight issues and different things like that? Like, could it just be not just necessarily always? We all know we're supposed to make sure we maintain good eating habits and all, work out, exercise, whatever. But, some people do have a harder time with it than others just because of, things that they gain hereditarily.
I do have heavy people in my family. My mom was heavy. She's not as heavy as me, but she's heavy and she's up and down with her weight. My grandmother, I remember she was, and my grandmother dealt with a lot of mental things when it was coming up, and she still does. And then on my grandfather's side, his sister was also overweight. So I don't know if it's a hereditary thing or is it just something that you do and then adding of life, stresses or whatever, it just becomes a habit and an addiction. I'm not sure.
Let me just ask this because it affects me in my own home because, not to go too far in our business, but, obviously my daughter, Riley, has dealt with weight issues, growing up or whatever. And then clearly, on social media, people ain't always so kind about, people who deal with weight issues, especially in the public eye. So my question to you is, as a family member, how do we support without making you feel hurt? You know what I'm saying? Because we deal with this all the time. And I don't mean to get emotional.
Because I didn't want you.
I want to support my daughter without making her feel like it's always got to be a conversation about weight. As a friend, and even with you, you and I have had conversations. It's a touchy subject for me just because I deal with it. Even as we work together, we have built a friendship over the time we worked together. And, I even told you if you ever wanted or needed help or whatever anyway, I wanted to be here and support you as well. But my question is, as a friend or as a family member, how do we support and help guide without seeming like we're not being supportive, basically?
Like you're fat shaming me?
Yes. How do we do that without? How do you help?
I don't know. Because my father, he still does sometimes. He was saying, you need to lose that weight. You're getting too big, you're going to have heart problems, you're going to have diabetes. And then I would get offended. I was talking to my dad about coming on the show today, and I was just nervous because I'm always overthinking. And so I was like, I don't want to get on there and cry. I said, I don't want to be nervous.
And I'm the one crying.
And I said, I started talking to him, and I was like, I didn't really, sometimes you don't know the things that you have suppressed in your subconscious because you suppress them because they hurt. And so we're naturally made to come in defense mode with ourselves. So I think sometimes we suppress things. But anyway, I was just telling him the other day, I was talking to my friend, and I was telling her, and we was talking about weight, because she's talking about going to the DR to get the surgery or whatever, to get lipo and all that. I was telling her how many times I had been touched and violated. And I was like, man, I didn't know that I had been, violated that many times until I said it out loud. So when I talked to my daddy yesterday, he was like, I understand you now.
He didn't know that growing up?
He said, why you didn't tell me that? And I said, I just never did because I didn't know how my mother would have taken me saying that because she know how my daddy is, and he would have went off, and then I didn't know she would have probably came back on me for making him angry. He was like, if you would have told me that, I would have came in and took you out
of the house.
Mm-hmm.
People deal with hurt and deal with pain different ways, like you said, you know, and just like you said, there are different types of addictions. Some people have eating addictions, some people have drug addictions, some people have alcohol addictions. You know, there's so many different things people self-medicate or whatever. And, you know, it comes out in different ways. But at the end of the day, it's like, in order to fix a situation, and I don't really know if I can use the term fix, like, because I don't know if anything ever can be fixed, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't, you know, we can't change the past, and you can never change what has already been done. You can only fix, you know, try to change or go forward, you know what I mean? So it's like, going forward, what do you want for yourself?
I want a smaller me. I don't have to be like a, you know, skinny, but I just want to feel more better about myself. Like, I don't feel like I feel like, okay, I do have a little self-esteem issues. Like I said again, I don't like seeing myself. I seen a video, I think it was at Ace's party, and I was standing by the cake. And I seen the back of myself, and I was like, oh my God, I wish they would have put that up there. But I was like, it is what it is. I just got to fix it. But I want to be smaller. I want to be healthier. I want to be here for my kids and my granddaughter.
So, with that being said, you know, I'm a solutions person. I don't like to keep talking about the problem. What steps do you think can be taken to get you to the goal that you want?
Being consistent with
consistent
the
with
process, like attending therapy. I have to get more active. I'm not active.
But I had seen you at Don Juan, and you start doing the weekends.
Come on, let's do this stretch so we can get to there. No, we need to get to here first so you really can catch your breath. Yeah, right there. You got to get to right there. So let's go. I got you. I'm behind you.
Don Juan.
What? Baby, you don't know what I be having to push and carry. Don't.
Just think of the payoffs after, you know.
Go.
You got that? Think about how that ass is gonna be sitting up.
She already been thinking about that on this trail. You ain't seen what she been doing.
I have. Oh,
there you go.
Bedroom candy.
See, this wasn't even that bad. You made it bad, way more worse than it is.
I go back into this, like, I don't know, a while ago I was like, you know what, I feel like a prisoner sometime in my own mind. Like this person that's trying to break out, but then I keep going back to that person, to this person. I believe there's some better, I know there's some better in me. I know God got a purpose for me, but I keep going back to this person. I had it a lot with laughing and stuff, but I hurt. And so I don't think people understand. Like, some people say, well, you can just stop eating. And that's like telling somebody to stop smoking a cigarette. If it's not your thing, it's easier for you to say that. And this is not something that I just started a couple of years ago. This is a thing that started, it's been going on with me since I was a kid. I'm 48 years old. And I feel like I haven't moved anywhere in my life because sometimes I feel like I'm my own enemy. My kids, they tell me all the time, Mom, you gotta be more active, you gotta do this, I don't do anything. So those are things that I want to change, is like being more active, going places. I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but like even times when y'all ask me to go places, I don't want to go because I don't feel comfortable with myself.
And with that being said, I see what you're saying, and I've seen that pattern in others who deal with your issues. It's like you said, it's hard for me to tell you how to feel or how to think. But honestly, for me, as a person on the outside looking in, I mean, I guess I kind of compare it to any other thing that I'm doing that I feel like is hard for me, or that I don't really want to do but I'm forcing myself to do, or anything that we want in life, it's gonna be uncomfortable. Anything that we need, we gotta work for it. Some people have to work harder than others to get certain things, and that's just is what it is. and I'm taking this out of the world of weight. This is just a general statement. So, say for instance, in my mind, I know this is such a bad analogy, so please excuse me for making this analogy, but let me just say, okay, if I say, I may not be the best singer, I may not be the best songwriter, I may not be the best actress, or I may not be the best at what I'm doing, but I will outwork you. And that is my mental. In anything that I want, there are so many things I constantly want and deal with. And to be clear, I understand depression and different things like that because I dealt with stuff like that at a younger age. I had a bout in middle school where I actually wanted to commit. But Lord, praise the Lord, I wasn't able to find my mom's gun when I wanted to do it. So that did not happen, praise God. And I think as I got in high school is when I started finding myself. But then I also lost my brother in high school. So it was still dealing with about a depression and pushing through. You get what I'm saying? So, like I said, I hate to make this analogy of what I'm saying and comparing it to what you're dealing with food and weight. But all I'm saying is, in anything that you're doing, you know, there is going to have to be a sense of, even when you don't want to, when it doesn't feel good, when you're subconscious, when you're just feeling emotionally out of it, a sense of, in order to get to your end goals, you're going to have to push through. So,
to get out of your own way.
You are definitely going to have to get out of your own way, friend. And with that being said, you know, you do have your kids who want to support you. You have friends. You have your team here at KKE who wants to support you. So, you know, I think you need to really lean on your support system. And remember, you have one, because a lot of people don't even have one. But you have one. So lean on it. And then those times where you're in your own head, I can only tell you to push through. And I know it's not easy, but just like you're sitting here today, you really didn't want to.
I was like, oh my God.
You really didn't want to, but you did. You know what I'm saying? You know, you allowed Tay to do your makeup, you got your hair done, you got yourself together. And this ain't even something you really wanted to do. So what I'm saying is, for the things that you really want to do and the things that you really want, things that we want for you, you're going to have to push through. Okay, so that was a whole emotional breakdown that I'm like, why do we go there? That was not what I was intended on doing today.
Sometimes it's like that good and evil battle with me. Like this over here is the me, and then this is the other me, and it's like who I really am, she comes out sometimes, and then this me comes out, like overpowers her sometimes. And I'm not saying like no personality disorder. I'm just saying like when I know I need to do the right thing, you know, I talk myself through it. I'm like, okay, don't eat this today, don't do this, that. And this other one's like, eat this. And when you're saying change or getting comfortable, change feels uncomfortable because it's something that you're not used to. Even when I went through depression a lot, I went through depression, I went through hypochondria, I went through anxiety attacks. There was times I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna give over into it because it's easier than the fight. I didn't want to come home. Like, as soon as I would come home, it's like some dark would come over me and I start getting anxious. So I would get on the phone with somebody and call them, and I had to talk to them until I went to sleep. Or either I'm like, let me come over your house and spend the night because I didn't want to die by myself. And that's when I was really going through the hypochondria. But I prayed and I prayed and I said, God, please help me. At first I thought God was punishing me for something because I didn't understand what I was going through. So then I just sat there one day, I was like, you know, I started going to church regular. I started taking my kids because they were the ones that was like, Mama, we don't go to church. So I said, we're going to start going back to church because I was raised in church. And so I started reading scriptures, and my aunt told me one day, she said, God's not punishing you. And she read me James 1. She was like, God tempt no man with evil at any time, and neither can be tempted. But he's tempted when he's drawn from his own lust of his heart. And I said, well, it's not God. So anyway, I started finding scriptures that helped me to get through it. Because it was my biggest fear was dying. I didn't want to hear about nobody dying. I didn't want to watch violent movies. When my phone would ring all times, late night, I would think that it was somebody calling me with bad news. And so I started finding scriptures about death. Basically, one that brought me through it was Paul said to die is gain. So I told myself, if you die, as long as you with God, you're going to be okay. So those scriptures helped me bring me through. At times when I felt anxious, I would just say, thank you, Jesus. If I had to say it 100 times until I started coming down, then I did that. My credit is so full of hospital bills. When I was going through the hypochondria, I was at the doctor like 2 or 3 times a week. If my chest started hurting, I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to have a heart attack or something.
So let's go back to the therapy. Have you met a therapist that you like? Have you been talking to a therapist?
I met a therapist I like. I text her this week about possibly maybe coming on with me here. But she's out of town right now, taking care of a family member. But I like her. I just hadn't, like I said, being consistent, reaching out to her. I have talked to some other people. A couple months ago, our health plan was giving us free therapy for the month of March and February. So I did see that therapist twice. I think it's just finding somebody that can kind of relate. And
relate as far as?
One, African American therapist.
Oh, okay.
One. And the therapist that I was talking to, she has dealt with some of the things I've dealt with. Weight, I don't think it was an issue. But just always being that person who basically put everybody in front of yourself. And then me and her build a relationship a little bit outside of therapy. Like, we wasn't friends, like we hung out. But I've always been able to call her and talk to her. She talked me through it. One thing I remember her telling me one time we was in therapy, I was just talking to her. She's like, Esther, you don't love yourself. And I stopped in mid-conversation and tears just started running down my face. I'm like, why you say that? She's like, every time you come here, you talk about everybody else but yourself. Those are things that I remember. Again, I was told to write, not being consistent with that, like write out my thoughts, which I have written things, but then I go back later and I read it. The other day I was cleaning out my closet. I got like so many notebooks that I start over all the time. And I have thoughts from everywhere, just from different times. I never finished that whole notebook. It's like I start, it's gone for a while. And then I go buy another notebook, start again. That's one thing I do want to work on, is being consistent.
All right. So earlier in the conversation, you said you had been considering doing the sleep.
Yeah.
So what is the determining factor, or if you do it or not?
One thing that I have considered is starting the process. Because from talking to other people that have had the surgeries, either surgery, is you go through counseling. And then they want you to lose a certain amount of weight before you get the surgery, because you have to, just because it could be detrimental. You could pass away doing surgery. So in my mind, I was thinking, if I go that, at least start going to the counseling and getting that. And if they want me to lose 50 or 100 pounds before the surgery, I feel like then if I could do that without the surgery, put my mind to it and knowing that, hey, I have a goal, and that's to live. If I can do that, I feel like I could go further without it. But I at least want the process, and if I fail, then go ahead and get it, because I've already started the process anyway.
So what stopped you?
Again, go back to that fear of the long-term side effects. But then waiting is I'm steady killing myself. With eating, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Because I got blood pressure. I thank God I don't have diabetes. I don't have anything with my heart right now. But I know as I get closer to 50, I'm closer to 50 anyway. But I'm just saying, a lot of my friends told me once you get 50, things start going downhill. And I mean, that's for different people, but yeah, I'm still thinking about starting the process of going to the counseling part at least.
So, will it be cool with us to check back in with you in the next couple of months to see, you know, what decisions you have made? Have you been consistent? You know, like, you know, have you been consistent not just with your eating but with therapy? Just to check in with you.
No, we can.
Remember that she said that. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I really want to see you win, Esther. You know, you've always been a good person to me. You know, as, you know, friends, as co-workers or whatever, it's just like, I want to see you win, and I want to be able to help you in any way that I can. But it's just like, you know, friends, family, whatever, we don't know how to help. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I just really wish that you would be vocal about.
I think it's just the one thing I think too is when you don't say it, you have to say when you need help.
Yeah.
But then, like they say, you know, pride sometimes, and I don't want to ask people to do anything for me. And so, and then sometimes I'm just like, you know, this is my thing. You know, it's something I'm dealing with, so I have to solve it myself. That's one thing I'm bad. Another thing I'm bad at is I'm there for other people, but when it comes to me, I don't want to ask. I think it's just sometimes they say closed mouths don't get fed. And if you don't say anything, people don't know. And I don't want to make this on mental, but mental health is a big thing. I used to be embarrassed to say anything about the mental stuff that I went through. Over the years of dealing with it and hearing other people that have dealt with it or dealing with it, I'm open because it has to be said. And if I keep it in, it's only hurting me. So I don't mind, because if I help one person, I feel like I've done a lot.
Well, you definitely have done a lot today, girl. I'm gonna sit up here and then cried and boo-hooed and messed my makeup up. Yeah, at the end of the day, this is something that affects so many people, and so many people are going through, you know, the same thoughts of like, okay, what needs to be done? What will help? What works for me? Because what works for you may not work for the next person, whatever. I would say it's always good to have a good support system around you. But like I said, it's okay to tell people how to support you. Well, everyone, this was a very emotional speak on it. Jeez, I was not expecting this. But at the same time, we kept it 100 with y'all. Like, you know, it's stuff that, you know, it's real stuff. I mean, thanks, Esther. You know,
thank you, because I was like uncomfortable at first. I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be so awkward, but I needed to get it out. I thought I was gonna be up here boo-hooing, but I had to put myself in a different mindset that it's about the start of me helping myself. And then who else is out there dealing with the same thing? So you won't think that you're by yourself, because you do think that you're by yourself, because the world sometimes could be so vain. And
believe you me, I know that part.
So it's like you feel like you're by yourself, so you don't want to say anything. Even if there's one person out there that I helped today, I thank God that I was able to help you, and I just thank you for even having me up here to do it.
So is there anything else you want to share?
I'm just going to be consistent. That's it. I don't have anything. That's the only thing, is if I could help one person today to get a support system, be consistent. You can reach out. Can I have them? If you're going through anything and you need somebody to talk to, because even though I talk with Candy today, that doesn't mean that I still, when I leave here, that I can easily fall back. Because addiction, you can always, you know, you always have, even if you go through the process of getting therapy or whatever, you can always go backwards. So if you need somebody to talk to, Facebook, you can DM me or whatever on Facebook at Esther Fairrow, or you can give me on Instagram and we can talk, because I was thinking about starting a support group.
That'd be a good thing. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, like, share, comment. Leave all them negative comments to yourself this time, okay? We just need positive motivation. If you can relate, please comment. But share this with others, because you never know who you may help. Well, thank you for watching. Speak on it.
EKG, my stress test, and I also have another test I have to do. Then Monday I have my upper endoscopy, and then the 28th of July, hopefully I'll be ready to have my surgery. I'm supposed to lose like 8 to 10 pounds by then. This is going to be a journey for me mentally and emotionally because I always was apprehensive about this, having a surgery, but I just have to face the reality sometimes that we need a little help. Sometimes it's hard for me to accept help. But I thank God for this journey. I thank God for all the people who are helping me along the way. And let's just see how things turn out.
I have my friend and hairstylist, So Jody, to the left of me. What was the biggest that you've ever been?
350 pounds.
And how tall are you?
5'4".
5'4", 350 pounds. Okay. You made a few decisions, a few different things that we would like to talk about. You did so I
started off with the paniculectomy.